Welcome to From the Cluster, where we bring people back to where it all started. Today we have Rayene. She moved from Algeria to Germany for this.
I've grown up my whole life surrounded by family and friends. I come from a really big family. We're all very close. Whenever I would need something, I had my cousins around me, I had my friends around me, I had my little sister, I had my mom, I had my dad, my aunts, my uncles. And coming here and suddenly being alone was really challenging at the beginning. It is still challenging to this day, to be honest. I kind of was lucky enough to have a really great community here. There was a lot of other North Africans, a lot of other people from all over the world, honestly. I made great connections and then I met incredible people that kind of were lonely in the same way I was. And that kind of helped balance out and being like, oh, I'm not alone. Everyone else is miserable. It's fine.
You already had a master's in AI, so why did you join 42?
The thing about university is that it doesn't really teach you coding. You understand concepts. I know how to calculate the output of a neural network, but I was never shown what commands or what kind of code I need to write in order to be able to build my own neural network. And so a friend of mine once called me. She was like, hey, I know you're always complaining about coding and wanting to do better at coding. There's this coding school called 42 Heilbronn. Do you want to try out for it and test it out? I was like, yeah, something that helps me to code better? Absolutely. So that's how I ended up here.
Did you feel ready as an engineer before 42?
I didn't feel like I was using my brain to its fullest potential. I still felt a lot of points that are missing in the way I approached code and the way I solved it. I didn't really know which was the best way to use memory better or to have optimized code and etc., etc. And that's how, even though I was actively working as a backend developer, I still wanted to learn more. I found myself, even though I was working, doing 42 and kind of switching from like the job market to back to 42 and then learning again.
You already worked as a backend developer. Can you take us back to your journey, like from Algeria to Germany?
Let's start from the beginning. So I graduated high school, and in Algeria the system is a little similar to the one in France, where you have your bac, and then that result is the one that dictates what university or what you can do in university. First, I wanted to do something in the medical field, but unfortunately, my score was not high enough for the medical field. But I've always loved computers because my uncle works in the field, and I've always watched him tinker with computers, and I've always wanted to do that. So I just did math and computer science. And my idea was, I will try it out. If I don't like it, I will just stop university, redo my exams, and kind of go to the medical field. And then I fell in love. You have to understand how much I love this field, is that I fell in love while I was doing Turbo Pascal. For anyone who knows, is like one of the worst, ugliest languages out there. And then I stayed, I did my bachelor's in computer science, and then I did my master's in decision support system, which is just a fancy word for AI. And I did it before it was cool. I finished in 2020, middle of pandemic. There was so much going on. And then I started working as an intern and then as a backend developer for this startup back home. While I was working, a friend called me about 42 and I joined. I did the PCN, and I didn't really understand that it was like just the acceptance process. I thought the PCN was the whole thing. We had a community meeting and I asked about how to get into the school with a full-time job. And I remember someone told me that it was impossible. And I kind of took that as a challenge. I was like, okay, then I will see you in Heilbronn. What do you mean I can't do it with a full-time job, right? Did it with a full-time job, got accepted, got a scholarship for the school, packed my bags and came to Germany. And in my mind, I was like, okay, worst case scenario, I learn something new and I go back home. I don't speak German. This is completely new to me. I've never lived on my own before. So it was a whole new experience. And then I came here and I had so much fun. I met a lot of incredible people. I built a lot of connections, and I volunteered to become a hat to kind of teach people or help people with a little bit of the background that I have and so on. And then in one of the 42 events, I met someone from Stackit. It was the Stackit Kubernetes Engine PO. I had a really lovely conversation with him, and he shared with me this program, this trainee program that they had going on. That time I had only been in Germany for 3 months. I didn't really understand that trainee was a job position. I thought it was training, where they teach us about the cloud. When I went to the interviews, I was so relaxed because I didn't realize what was at stake. I was so funny, I was cracking jokes. I had a bug in my technical interview and they asked me if I could fix it. I said I couldn't because I didn't realize it's a job. I only realized that it's a job when I got the call saying that they accepted me and they want me with their team. And that's where it hit me. I was like, oh, wait, what? I should have taken this very seriously. So I started as a trainee or a cloud trainee. Cloud trainee program basically moves around from different departments. We went to Stack It and infrastructure and software engineering instead. My first department was infrastructure, and I had to do a lot of web development, and I realized that I really don't like web development. And then my second was Stack It, where I went to Kubernetes Engine and the AI platform team. And then I was supposed to do web development for my third station, but I really, really don't like web development. And so I reached out to a former 42 student who was in the Gen AI team in Schwarz Digits, and I talked to him if it would be possible that I spend the last station of my traineeship with them. And he somehow managed to make it happen, and we switched from a software engineer or from web development to AI, which is my passion, which is what I studied, which is what I know. And then I just stayed there. And now they're stuck with me.
What was missing for you at university?
The hands-on experience. That was definitely what I missed in my uni years. Although, like, I was lucky enough that my friends at uni, we were all like people who are interested in the field, and we tried to do things on our own. But still, you have a lot of really incredible people, incredible minds that teach you the theory, that teach you the math, that teach you why things happen certain ways, but you don't have that hands-on experience of like coding it yourself, getting the bugs yourself, and fixing those bugs yourself. You do get certain like projects where you have to build them and everything, but it's only like, here's the project, build it, give me the results, and that's it. It's not like an iterative situation.
What's something that you learned at 42 that completely changed how you think?
I have a saying in Algerian, العود اللي تحقره يعميك, which roughly translates to the small stick that you dismiss can blind you. The actual meaning of it is you can learn from the most insignificant thing. So with 42, there were a lot of situations where I had been at school for a year, for example, and then I do an evaluation with someone who just started the school, and I still learn a lot from that interaction because I have to rewire my brain that I have to explain those things to this person who had just entered this field. And in doing so, I learned a lot more about my code and my process, and also people that are coming from different fields, like from physics, medicine, and so on, bring that expertise and kind of a different mindset into the IT world. You see how their minds work a little differently than yours, and it helps a lot to see things from a different perspective.
What surprised you the most when you joined 42?
I actually met the CEO of Aleph Alpha and had like a conversation with him, which was something a little beyond my imagination when I first like started in the field and everything, because there's always that little hierarchy at the school. I had multiple talks over coffee with the CEO of the school at the time. As a student, you're kind of like the low end of things, and it was really interesting to come back to have those people still remember me and still have conversations again with them. So yeah, the structure is also like really interesting. Find someone who's 18 years old and collaborating with someone who's 50 years old, as you said, and they are peers. There is like no hierarchy in there. That's not like his superior, his teacher. No, those are peers, and they're learning from each other. And sometimes you find the 18-year-old has more knowledge or more to offer than the older person. So that's a really different dynamic from like your regular university or school, and it was really interesting to live through it.
Speaking of which, how would you explain peer-to-peer learning to someone new?
Remember when the teacher would give you a really complex equation to solve, and the teacher explains it to you, but you really can't get it? Because, for example, the teacher is using a certain language that you don't understand. They're using complicated words, or they're using complicated concepts that you still haven't fully grasped. And then you turn to your friend at school and be like, hey, what the hell's going on? And they kind of explain it to you in terms that are more on your level, and you somehow understand that, but you don't understand what the teacher is saying. And that has always been my experience, where I was like really confused as to why. And that's what the whole peer-to-peer process is at 42. It also goes the other way around, because in uni, I remember, in order to retain certain informations, I would just put my friends in front of me and be like, okay, I'm gonna be your teacher today. And I explain things to them, and that's how I retain it. So it's beneficial in both ways. It's more informal, I would say, so you don't have to sit through someone talking and you just zone out. And most of us have the ADHD nowadays because of our phones, and you just zone out and you're like dreaming of a house, fighting a dragon in your mind, and the teacher is speaking, and it's completely But here, like, you work when you want to, when you feel like that hyper-focused window is happening and you can do it. In my opinion, so much more beneficial. Not saying that like normal university is not good, because I went through it and I loved it so much, but still, a completely different experience that is also like really, really useful.
What are you actually building with generative AI right now?
You want to ask a question, but the documentation is a lot bigger than you would expect, and there's a lot going on. One way to help with that, for example, is building a RAG, which is something that was already done by a part of my team. Building a RAG, which is like a chatbot that pulls from those documentations and formulates it nicely for you to understand, so you don't have to read, I don't know, like 50 pages of documentation to find that one point you need.
What do you think is overhyped right now?
I don't know if you're familiar with the hype cycle from McKinsey, but it's kind of a tool that tracks the life cycle of an AI tool or an AI technology or any technology really, from its trigger to when we reach the normal potential. And after the trigger of a technology, there's always like an exponential growth in the inflated expectations, which is what we're facing currently with AI agents, for example, because everyone is thinking that this is a perfect technology that solves all of my problem. It's going to clear my skin. It's gonna clean my house. It's gonna do everything, right? But it's not. It's just a tool that you build it for a specific use case, and it will help. I hate opening LinkedIn lately because every time I open it, there's like a photo of a robot and the words AI agent, and it's not really an agent. So for most of the time, it's just a workflow or just a RAG, and they call it an agent because that's the hypey word.
What's the biggest misconception people have about AI today?
I don't like the mentality of I'm going to be replaced by AI, because what differentiates us from all of those tools is our ability to think, our ability to be creative, to look at things from a multidimensional point of view. But those are just tools, and they can only do as much as you ask them to and with the context that you give them. Don't be replaceable by AI by using your brain. That's how straightforward it is, genuinely. And just like when the printing press was invented, there were no more people who are manually writing books. There were new jobs created that kind of to operate the printing press, to clean it, to do this, to do that. And that's how I would think about all of those AI tools and all of this artificial intelligence and machine learning tools.
What skill from 42 do you use every day?
Self-learning. I am working in Gen AI, which is a very rapidly evolving field. So for example, in normal software engineering back in the day, you have someone with 20 years of experience in the same tool that just continues using it and has those set of expertise, and that's it. But currently, everything is new, and it comes up, and you have to learn it, and you have to use it, and you have to build something with it. Because in our case, when our management or someone from a different department wants something, we shouldn't say no, because then why can externals do it, right? So we should be able to build it, and we should be on top of like the news and the new technologies coming up. I've always been someone who loves to learn, but I kind of honed that skill in 42, and I keep using it every single day by finding the most obscure articles that have the information that I need.
What would you say, what kind of mindset is required to succeed at 42?
Be very good at accepting criticism. I know it sometimes can be really hard. Like, I've been at this school for a year and a half. How can someone who started yesterday tell me that my code is wrong or tell me that what I did is wrong? But we need to kind of separate our person from what we build. I was a hat, so I have one assistant team for a piscine, and I've had pisciners who will just adjust it and sometimes took things personally. I'm like, no, it's just about the code, it's not about you. I think that would be the best mentality to kind of go through this. Remember that those people are also learning alongside you. And most of the time when you learn something new, you're very excited to share it with other people. And so you're like, oh, actually, this is not how you do it. I learned this that time, and it's actually, you do this like that. And just don't take criticism personally.
Who should join 42 and who shouldn't?
You think schools, like having a teacher stand there and explain things to you. I don't think this is a good format for someone who needs that structure, otherwise they won't be able to learn. But if you're a chaotic mess like myself and like thrive in chaos and need to learn in your own time, like at 3 a.m. I'm doing something, then I highly recommend trying this out. I wrote my master's thesis in a haze. I would fall asleep at like 4 a.m., 5 a.m., and then I would wake up like half an hour later, fully asleep, open my laptop, write lines of code, close it back up and go back to sleep. So if that's who you are, this is a place for you.
If you could restart your journey, what would you do differently?
If I changed things, then I wouldn't find myself where I am, and I'm pretty happy with where I am. I wouldn't have joined 42, and I wouldn't have had this experience. So I don't think I would want to change anything just for the sole reason that I'm really happy with where I am. I really enjoy what I'm currently doing on a day-to-day basis.
I'm gonna give you 3 rapid-fire questions, and you just answer as quickly as possible. AI hype, real or overrated?
The hype is very real. The tools are good, they're not that good.
Startup or corporate?
I've worked in both and I really enjoyed my time in both. I think startups are a little more high stress, like everything is happening really fast, so.
One word to describe 42.
Fun learning. It's 2 words, I know it's cheating, but.
What's next for you?
I don't know, we'll see. I'm currently an AI engineer and maybe I will be able to do a PhD because I like research, so I can have that doctor title. Pure vanity reasons, I know. I hope I can stay in this field and get to contribute more into it. Maybe I will be back here and give another workshop, who knows?
Amazing.
If you want to try something new, something different, and are sick kind of having someone talk at you instead of to you, try this format out. You will have more one-on-one conversations than like a person standing and giving a lecture, and it can help learn a lot more. So try it out, it's fun, and the coffee is free. So.